You are listening to Oh My Health, There Is Hope podcast.
When your heart is aching and your world is shaking, don't give up. No, don't give up.
Hello and welcome to Oh My Health, There Is Hope, the podcast. I'm your host, Jana Short, and today I'm here with a really unique and special guest, Devin Burke. Devin helps high achievers and exhausted insomniacs get and stay asleep so they can wake up with more peace, power, and presence. He is a best-selling author, speaker, renowned sleep coach, and founder of Sleep Science Academy, which helps people stop suffering and start sleeping using a unique holistic approach based in science. He was named one of the top 25 health coaches in America and has studied innovative holistic coaching methods from some of the world's top health and human performance experts for over a decade. And as a speaker and coach, he has inspired thousands of people to open up their eyes to what is possible through creating new sleep, health, and performance habits and routines. Devin, welcome to the podcast. I'm super excited to have you.
Thank you. I'm super excited to be here, Jana. Thank you for reading that's a long bio there. I'm like, listen, I'm like, oh, okay, we can shorten it up.
It is a bio, and I tried to shorten it up, but it was good. So I couldn't. I'm like, I'm not taking that out. I'm not taking that out. So you got the whole enchilada.
All right. Well, I appreciate it. I'm excited to talk sleep and to share as much knowledge as I have from with your audience to help inspire them.
I'm excited about this topic too, because it's really an important topic. But one of the things we ask all of our guests to do is to share a story of hope. I honestly believe our journeys are given to us for a reason. And those stories of hope reach out and help people like move to the next day, even the next hour, and move through their journeys. So do you want to share your story of hope with us?
Yeah, I can. I mean, I can share my story or a story of hope from my work. So I think it'd be more powerful actually to share a story of hope from my work, because a lot of people listening to this might feel a little hopeless that they are going to have to live with poor sleep for the rest of their life, and they don't. And one of the clients that I work with, had the privilege of working with, was I'm not going to say her name just to protect her her privacy, but she was hopeless. And she, for 30 years, struggled with insomnia. She was on all different types of sleeping medications. She was losing her memory, and she had lost hope. And she thought that she was gonna, continue to kind of deteriorate because of her sleep challenge. And through working with her and through helping her understand some of the things that we're going to be talking about today, she was able to get off all the sleeping medications. Her memory came back. And she got her life back. And so, what does that tell people? It's your body can heal. So if you're having issues with your sleep, if you believe that you're not going to be able to solve your sleep, I want you to have hope, because if she can do it, so can you. So, and there's a lot, not just her, there's many other stories I could share, but that's just, one of the inspiring ones that I love to share.
Well, one of the things that you and I were just talking about is how sleep is connected to everything that goes on in our bodies. And when I tell my clients like how important sleep is, I tell them, what's the first thing you do when you have a surgery, right? They want you to sleep, because our body is healing. And when you get a cold or flu, why does your body get exhausted? All you want to do is sleep, because that's when the body has the opportunity to start creating a healing space for you. It's so important to get your sleep. What are some of the things that you would say that sleep's connected to in our daily routines?
Oh, everything. I mean, from every decision you make, because when you're not sleeping, your ability to make decisions is damaged. You make poor decisions. Your relationships suffer because you're not showing up as your best self. Your physical appearance, you look older, you look tired. I mean, literally, sleep affects every aspect of our lives, from our relationships, our jobs, our health, our emotional health. It's something that a lot of us take for granted. A lot of us don't pay much attention to it. We think it's a waste of time, but everything in your life is connected to sleep. And if you don't believe me, try staying up for a couple of days without sleep and see what your life looks like and feels like. And I know that people that are listening to this, they've had that experience. I think we all had that experience, but it's easy to forget, and just take it for granted and not realize that it's such an important time for healing, for the mind and the body, so that we can live amazing lives, so we can have focus, we can have energy. There's so many, every aspect of life.
Devin, what do you think? Because everyone wants to say, well, what's a normal and what's a healthy, what's a regular night's sleep, or how much sleep should I be getting to stay healthy and support my body? And honestly, I'm not a sleep expert. I feel like it might vary from person to person and at where you're at in your journey. Like if you're young, you probably need more sleep because your body's growing. And as you get older, I notice that you need less sleep, or at least I feel like I need less sleep because I don't think my body's doing what it was doing when I was younger.
100%. So yeah, people don't like this answer, but it depends. It depends on all those things you just said: your age, your gender, your lifestyle, your genetics. So really, it really depends. But most people don't get enough sleep. And that's because they're not prioritizing it, they're not protecting it, and they're also doing things that are keeping them from getting sleep, such as watching too many Netflix shows, which is like Netflix's biggest competition is sleep, right? Because these shows they're so good and they just roll into the next one. But so it really does depend. So if you're somebody who's really active, if you're, an athlete and you're moving your body a lot, of course you're going to need more sleep because your body needs that time to repair and recover. If you're somebody that's not as active, as you go throughout life, usually we get less active, right? As we age, maybe not everyone, but most people, you don't need as much sleep. When you're young and you're growing and you're a teenager, absolutely you need more sleep, right? So your hormones are raging, your body's growing. So our sleep architecture changes throughout our lives, and also it's genetic. Some people need more sleep. Their chronotype, is they're just, their biology is they need more sleep. So the easy answer is to experiment with your sleep. And if you feel fatigued, if you feel tired, you're probably not getting enough sleep. And so, open up that sleep window, prioritize it, do some things that we're going to be talking about today, and see how you feel. And then your body will find that optimal sort of amount of sleep as you experiment with it.
I think, like, I find all of this fascinating, but here's the thing. I don't think, maybe you can explain this to the listeners. I don't think people understand that what your body goes into, it transitions into different zones of sleep, right? And each very zone that you transition into is very specifically needed to help your body process, grow, regenerate, whatever it's doing in that phase. So if you're only getting an hour here or an hour there, and you're missing those important sleep zones, your body's going to start lacking from that, right? It's going to start showing, like you said, you can even look like you've aged. And how many times has someone said, "Oh, you look so tired. Are you okay?" Like, and you're like, "No, I'm fine."
It's like the worst thing when somebody says that. You're like, "Oh no," it's showing on my face that, so there's several different stages of sleep. Every 90 minutes we go through a cycle of sleep. And there's two different categories. There's REM, or rapid eye movement, and non-rapid eye movement, so there's light sleep, stages 1 and 2, and then deep sleep, stages 3 and 4, and then we shift into REM sleep. So every 90 minutes, we're going through this sort of dance in and out of these different cycles. And when we talk about quality of sleep, we're really talking about deep, like stages 3 and 4, and REM sleep. So the more you focus on your sleep from a holistic standpoint, and you're doing things that, are beneficial to your sleep, the more deep sleep you're going to get. And most of the deep delta juicy sleep that repairs the body happens in the first quarter of the night. And there's a lot of things that people do that get in the way from getting more deep delta sleep, like eating too late at night, like, having too much caffeine, like drinking alcohol, like being on devices, and that blue light turns off that melatonin faucet or doesn't allow it to turn all the way on. So just common things that people do in their life can get in the way of that juicy delta deep sleep. And then as we move through the cycles, over these 90-minute cycles, towards the fourth quarter of the night, right before we wake up, that's when we get most of our REM sleep. And REM sleep is really important. That's when, short-term memory gets shuttled to long-term storage. That's when, the emotions, we're working out the emotional traumas of the day. That's when we're dreaming of and creating new things and problem solving, or can be. And so that's a really important stage of sleep as well. And oftentimes people wake up too early. They're waking up to an alarm. And so they're cutting into that really amazing stage of sleep, which then can affect their memory, can affect their performance, poor decision making. But anyway, so this is your sleep architecture. You're coming in and out of these different brainwave states about every 90 minutes, going through a full cycle. And you do wake up. Most of the time, you're not conscious of those awakenings. Sometimes people do come all the way up into consciousness. But it's amazing. I mean, there's so much that happens throughout the night. It's not like our brains actually in certain stages of sleep are more active when we're asleep than during the day. It's incredible. It really is. Obviously, I'm very excited about this just because there's so much that goes on that we just don't even realize, and it's such a strange thing. Sleep, right? It's like it's a mystery almost.
Well, I'm going to shoot at you. Before I got on this call with you, I started looking at some of the most common things people complain about when it comes to sleep. The number one most common thing was they can't go to sleep. I actually worked with a sleep coach, and I know that sounds weird, but I value my sleep and I understand the importance of it. And I worked with a sleep coach, and now literally, if I say time to go to bed, I close my eyes, I'm asleep like within 5 to 10 minutes, and I sleep pretty much undisturbed throughout the night because I worked with a coach, which sounds again funny, but if you understood the power of getting a good night's sleep and your body rested, you would be finding a sleep coach too. But what are some of the things that you can help people with who are saying, I just can't fall asleep. I toss and turn, my brain won't shut off.
Yeah, that's the most common question I get asked. How do you turn off your brain so that you can fall asleep? And you don't. Your brain never turns off. Actually, even when you're asleep, your brain is on and it's doing a lot of things. So what you can do, though, is a great night of sleep starts as soon as you wake up. So everything you do throughout your day, from the food you eat, the water you drink, the thoughts you think, all those things impact whether or not you're going to have a racing mind at the end of the night. Most people take their days into their nights. They take their worries into bed with them, and then they wonder why they can't sleep. So the brain doesn't just shut off like a light switch. Man, that would be nice if it did, but that's not how it works. So you need to put in place, certain habits and routines, space within your day, having a practice like meditation or getting in nature, making sure that you're not going back to back from meeting to meeting or thing to thing. It's really important to allow the body to slow down, the mind to slow down, so that then it's not so hard to create harmony within the mind and body. And that's really what happens when our bodies and our minds, if they're sped up, if they're in a stress state, the body's not going to shift into a rest state. So we gotta train it. We gotta retrain it, help it remember how to shift out of that, really sympathetic nervous system, fight or flight, back into the parasympathetic. And there's a lot of ways of doing that. And it just starts with a commitment that you're gonna do something, and you're gonna do something different, and you're gonna try it on. And so meditation, mindfulness, I'm a huge fan of it. There's a lot of science around it that shows it improves sleep and it helps us calm our minds. It creates, more intelligence to make better decisions. So I'm a big believer in practicing, mindfulness, having a meditation practice, creating space in your day. What's good for your health is also good for your sleep. Managing your stress, or I like to say mastering your stress. So understanding the thoughts and the things, your beliefs, and how that dictates how you feel. So some emotional intelligence, all these things, right, can impact our ability to fall asleep. So that was a lot, I know, but
That was a good answer, though. That was a really good answer. My next question was, the second most asked question was, people can fall asleep, but they can't stay asleep. And then when they wake up, hours could go by before they can go back to sleep. And then when they do get up in the morning, they feel exhausted because they never got that full sleep pattern that they needed.
Yeah. So the first onset insomnia is trouble getting to sleep. Maintenance insomnia is what happens if you have trouble staying asleep. And so we do wake up, as I mentioned, every 90 minutes. It's just sometimes we come all the way out of a sleep cycle, maybe because that we're in pain, we don't have a good mattress, maybe we have to use the restroom, maybe a lot of times it's just stress, it's undealt with, things in the mind that pull us out of sleep. It's important to understand that if you get pulled out of your sleep, and you're lying in bed, tossing and turning, do not stay in your bed. You don't want to associate your mind racing and anxiety and thoughts with your bed. There's only two things that happen in bed: sleep and making love, having sex, having fun, doing that. But that's besides that, there's, you really want to make sure that you don't anchor anxiety to your bed and bedroom. So if you don't fall back asleep within, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, you want to make sure you remove yourself from the bedroom, do something relaxing, sort of reset yourself. And then once that sleepy feeling starts to come on you again, then go back to bed. It's a habit. Oftentimes maintenance insomnia is a habit. And it's not so much, the challenge is, it's not so much that you wake up, it's you wake up and you're not able to allow your body to relax and drop back into sleep. And that's where a lot of people get stuck. Don't go to your phone, your iPad, don't turn the TV on. Those are all things that are just going to keep you in the habit of arousing the mind, which is going to keep you in that, waking up and not being able to fall back asleep. So that's the short answer to that question.
I love that answer too. One of the things that the only time I cannot get a good night's sleep is, and it's weird, is if I drink. So people think if they drink, it's like a sedative and it'll put you to sleep. But it does. I fall asleep pretty easy, but I always wake up, always,
Right.
multiple times throughout the night if I have a couple glasses of wine at dinner. I know that when I go to bed, I'll be super relaxed and go to sleep right away, but I'm going to wake up. Why is that?
Yeah, there's a couple of reasons. The first reason is, alcohol is a diuretic, so it dehydrates you, right? And we actually lose throughout the night like a liter of water, regardless of if we're drinking alcohol and dehydrating our bodies. Alcohol also gets in the way of, deeper stages of sleep, specifically REM sleep. So your body is not going to get into the deeper REM stages of sleep because of the alcohol in your blood. So it's something that, to be mindful of. A glass of wine earlier on at dinner isn't going to make that big of a difference. But if you're having a couple of glasses of wine or you're having a nightcap, if you were measuring your sleep, you would see that your body's not getting into that juicy, amazing stage of REM sleep. And oftentimes you are going to wake up and you're going to be dehydrated. You're going to need water. That's why we get hangovers, is really it's the hydration. So a good practice is, if you have an alcoholic beverage, like a nice glass of red wine or something like that, follow it with 2 glasses of water. Now, again, if it's too close to bedtime, you can bet that you're going to be waking up and have to use the restroom. So you definitely don't want to use alcohol and a lot of people do, as a sleeping aid. It can become full blown, alcohol. A lot of people become alcoholics because they're using, I'll just say it. Yeah, it's true. And it's so you have to really be careful if you're using something so that you can sleep, or if you're using a drug to manage your emotional state, then there's something that you really should consider looking at, because that's a short-term band-aid. It's not going to fix the real problem.
Devin, I agree. And I feel like when we condition our bodies to use something that's not natural to inducing sleep, it starts to become dependent on that. So
Yes.
it becomes super hard. Having said that, I'm going to flip that on you, because I read all these things about you shouldn't have any kind of electronic stimulating you. The room should be a certain temperature. The lights have to be super dark. But then
Yeah.
I wonder if I'm setting my body where it will not sleep unless it's in the perfect conditions. Like right now, I could probably fall asleep standing against a wall if I said time to go to sleep. But if I have to have those perfect conditions,
Mm.
does that make it hard when my body can't sleep if I'm traveling and I don't have those available to me?
Yeah, that's such a great topic, and I'm so happy that you brought this up. So what you're talking about is what we call sleep hygiene. So it's, making your room cold and dark, having a ritual before bed, making it quiet, which does absolutely impact the quality of your sleep. But to be honest, there are millions, if not billions, of people that do all the wrong things and they sleep fantastic. So oftentimes we can get in our minds and create these stories like we need the perfect environment in order to sleep, and that creates actually more stress. And again, a stressed body and mind is not going to rest. So really, I think having these habits and having good, environment for your sleep is great, as long as you have the right mindset around it and know that you don't really need all that, but it is going to improve the quality and depth of your sleep. But really, you can sleep anywhere. You don't need sleep's a natural biological process that happens. It's not something you can force to control. And if you feel like, a lot of times it can be like these controlling things that happen where we're like, I need to do this in order to sleep. And if I don't do this, then I won't sleep. And if you find yourself thinking like that, then there's something to look at, because you're telling yourself a story that isn't true.
I love that answer too. Devin, you have a book out and you're a best-selling author and you have a book out, The Sleep Advantage. And I would love to know, who did you write this book for?
So I work with a lot of high performing entrepreneurs, people that have a lot of responsibilities that lead to them to not being able to sleep, right? Their minds are racing, but really it's for anyone that has trouble sleeping. Honestly, the book is designed to be a clear roadmap for how do you go from not sleeping well, waking up feeling foggy, tired, groggy, to actually sleeping in a way that you wake up feeling refreshed. And it's really some very tangible strategies and techniques and tools laid out throughout the book. But really, it's for anyone who's having issues sleeping. We do work with a lot of moms. We work with, grandmoms. Everyone sleeps, right? Everyone sleeps. So if you want to improve your sleep, then the book's for you.
By the way, I think the worst sleep I ever got was raising my kids, because
Yeah.
I don't think you ever go into deep sleep. I can remember sleeping through the night and hearing full-on conversations going because I was staying in tune to what was going on in our home around our children. But
Yeah.
for new moms, when they tell you when the baby sleeps, you sleep, that is not a myth. That is true. That's a fact.
Yeah.
Get
Yeah.
the
I mean,
sleep wherever you can.
it's actually, it's biologic, right? So you're in mom mode, protecting mode, and you're not going to be getting into this really deeper stage of sleep because you got to be aware if the baby's crying or if something's going on. So that is a challenging time for a lot of people's sleep. The trick is to know that once your baby does start to sleep, then not to get in the habit of you not sleeping, which can happen. So, and that's when people really start to get in their minds and they start to, a lot of fear, doubt, and worry comes in. And then next thing you know, full blown insomnia, not sleeping, baby's sleeping great, but they're not sleeping. So the difference between someone that has insomnia and someone that doesn't is what you make the night mean. That's really it. Because we all have weeks or months or even a couple of days of off nights. It's what you make it mean. If you make it mean, that you're an insomniac and your health's going down the tubes, and and all that, then more stress, and then you get stuck in this paradox. So it's really important to understand that if you have an off night of sleep, don't stress out about it. Know that your body's intelligent. You eventually sleep. You just have to create the right conditions to allow that to happen.
So I think two of the things that I took away that are super important is, one, your bed, it should be a place for two things, right? You don't want to make it a stressful place. And two, like once in a blue moon, I do wake up and I can't go back to sleep. I literally will get up and clean. I leave my bed. I start cleaning in the kitchen because I think it's going to start relaxing me and moving through whatever's in my head that has to be worked through. And you're right. Like an hour later, I can come back, I crawl into bed. Not only did I get a little bit of work done when there was no one around, but I was able to go right back to sleep. So that is a really good tip.
Yeah, I mean, again, you're so everything you do in your bed, you're creating an association. So you want to associate your bed and bedroom with relaxation, with rest, and don't have difficult conversations in bed with your partner. Do not do it. Don't really watch TV. I know this is a hard one for a lot of people because people love to watch TV. It's a nice distraction, but it arouses the mind. Even these TV shows, it's like, so just if you can just create that balance where you understand that your room is a safe space, have it be comfortable, invest in a really good mattress. If there's one piece of furniture that you should invest in, it's a bed. So many people spend so much money on all the furniture in the kitchen and all this, but it's like, man, you spend 1/3 of your life on a mattress. Make sure it's a great mattress that's comfortable. It's a sanctuary. Make your bedroom a sanctuary so that you're excited about getting in there and not, dreading it. It's so important. All these little things, they do make a difference over time.
Well, I would love to know a little bit more about your company and what you're doing. I know that you're a writer and a speaker, but tell us how people can like connect with you and learn more and, start getting a better night's sleep because we all deserve it.
Yeah, we all deserve it, and we all can do it. So it really is. It's something that everyone has the ability to do. And whether or not you feel like you've tried everything, and you're still not sleeping, there is a high chance that we can help you. At Sleep Science Academy, we support people all over the country that have chronic onset maintenance insomnia, and we support them in a holistic way, giving them education as well as coaching to help them really understand what's going on in their minds and their bodies, and remove those barriers so that their body can get natural sleep without the need for medication or even sleep hygiene. Just really connecting to the body, understanding what's going on, and allowing it to do what it's designed to do, which is rest, which is sleep.
By the way, earlier in the show, I like fessed up that I got a sleep coach and it was super important to me and it worked. And it was mostly because my husband's a snorer and I just didn't feel like I could sleep. And what I would do is turn the TV on so that it drowned out his snoring, but then he couldn't sleep. And I refused to give up on sharing a bed with my husband. So I got coaching. The only time that I get bothered by his sleep now is if he's on a trip and he's not there, because now it's become like part of the program for my sleep. And when the sound is gone, it's kind of like you shut off the white noise. And so I loved working with the sleep coach. And I know now it's like a big thing for women to get it for their small babies, to help teach them at birth, like from the beginning on, good sleep patterns, because we literally installed the worst sleep patterns in our kids. And so this is amazing, being able to grab a coach. I bet you didn't even know, if you're listening, that you could get a sleep coach that teaches you or helps you teach your body how to find and create a beautiful night's sleep.
Yep. Yeah, it is kind of a funny thing if you think about it, like a coach for my sleep, like that's, that exists. Then really there's a coach for everything. But yeah, if you're having issues with your sleep, the fastest way to improve it is to hire somebody that has experience and expertise and can help you, right? Versus trying to do it by yourself. We all need support. And if your biggest challenge right now is having issues with your sleep, then you should get that support to allow yourself to have the gift of amazing sleep.
Well, we have a lot of young moms that listen to this show. Do you do the sleep pattern training for people with young kids?
So I do not, but I have an amazing referral. So when I get asked this a lot, but there is a doctor in New Orleans that I refer out to. So it's not something that I do. I focus on adults, but there is somebody that I recommend that does a fantastic job.
I love it. But if you're the mom needing more sleep and can't figure out how to get that good night's sleep, you can reach out to Devin for sure. Devin, where can they connect with you at?
So Devin Burke Wellness on all the social channels, and then sleepscienceacademy.com if you're someone that's having issues with your sleep.
Perfect. And of course, we're going to put all the links in the show notes, and we'll have little tabs for you so you can find the great key points to this conversation as you're scrolling through it on YouTube. Devin, thank you so much for being with us today. I really love this segment.
Oh, my pleasure. It was fun. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Thanks for listening to the Oh My Health, There Is Hope podcast. Make sure to visit Jana's website, bestholisticlife.com, where you can subscribe to the show on iTunes, Google Play, or listen there, so you'll never miss an episode. While you're at it, if you found value in the show, we'd appreciate a rating on iTunes, or if you simply tell a friend about the show, that'll help too. Let's change the world together, one health expert at a time. Looking forward to seeing you next time.